early start this morning. We were on the bus by 4 a.m. We've just come through the border of El Salvador and we're going to get a boat across to Nicaragua. And welcome to my video. My last month I've been traveling in Central America and I'm coming into another country and so looking forward to sharing it with you. So stick around, hope you enjoy it. Give me a thumbs up if you do. This is the boat that we're going to get across. It could be an hour or it could take 2 hours. Looks beautiful and calm here, but let's wait and see what it's like out there. Well, the trip was fairly scenic. It didn't take too long, a bit over an hour and a half. And then, we started slowing down as we got to these mangrovey islands and they pulled up the outboard motors. And then we're like, oh, this is just a jetty. Oh my gosh, we sort of felt a little bit like illegal immigrants, but see the next bit. It's so funny. Well, I've arrived in Nicaragua. I've never arrived in a country quite in that style. And definitely volcanic sand on the beach. And that's a very old pier. What a bizarre way to arrive in a country. I bet he doesn't have to go to the gym every morning.
Oh no. This is way past.
Yes.
Okay.
All good, thank you. Gotta love this. It's not quite the champagne glasses. Really sure that that's not Prosecco either. But we're all waiting to see what the snack's going to be. And that's a surprise. It's not called face mods. It's called face mods. How cool is that? But that's where Freddie, our leader, went with our passports. So we're hoping he reappears. So we cleared through customs and had our fresh, cool towels. Then we headed off on the rural roads through to Leon, which was quite a contrast to what we'd seen on the way. So good evening. I am now in the town of Leon, Nicaragua. And so I'm going to go exploring this evening. It's cooled down, which is really good because it's been hot and steamy all day. But we've been traveling most of the day. You've seen earlier in this video where we came through immigration, and that was interesting, wasn't it? So come for a little bit of a walk with me. Can't get a more beautiful sky than that. So Leon is the second largest city in Nicaragua. It's also a backpacker haven. A lot of people come here for the volcano, and also there's a good university here, and it's very cheap to live here. Things are much cheaper than a lot of other areas in Central America. Early in the morning in Leon, lots of things happening, lots of people moving around, kids off to school, people off to work. I just thought I'd go for a bit of a wander just to explore on my own and get a feeling for the city. Oh, I was in for some really good surprises. Fresh looks fresh, but there's no way I'd be buying it. So yeah, there's still a lot of horse and carts being used here, and I was really pleased that they actually fed them with proper chaff. My next stop was at the Legends and Traditions Museums. This was quite quirky. It was in an old 1920s prison, and it had lots of different rooms with both paintings and figurines / puppets. They were huge. They were almost as big as me, and I did have a guide to show me around. Unfortunately, his English wasn't great and my Spanish is non-existent, but I did enjoy looking at these models. So I don't know if you can see the perspiration just dripping off my face, but walking around the streets in Leon, 12 to 1 o'clock, is not the best idea. But I've just come into the art gallery museum, and already I'm pretty impressed. And it's not really much cooler because the power's off. So yeah, I'll wander around. So it came to about $5 Australian, and it's multiple buildings. So I'll take you around with me. And oh yay, the power's come on. Not only do I get to see the art better, but the ceiling fans are working. So I've come into a different building now in the gallery. There's, I think, 3 sections. Post-Columbian, which is like where I just was. I think this is pre-Columbian, and then there's another building. So if you go to the galleries, just remember that there is more than one, and they're all on the same street, okay? So don't turn off like I did and go, where the heck is it? So they're actually separate buildings. Oh, and totally different. Yeah, this is almost like a museum. Oh, this is a really cool way of displaying all these pieces. And a lot of these are going back to, I think about the earliest I've seen is about 800 AD. So 800 to about 1350, a lot of them, I think. Beautiful pieces, that's for sure. So there was an incredible variety of artistic pieces. I love these pencil sketches. They're really quirky. And for those who have watched videos before, I love the mosaics. And yeah, this was huge, really amazing. I like this piece. It's all made with rope or hemp. Oh wow, there's so many different sections in this second building. Really interesting. And I don't think it's all pre-Columbian, that's for sure. So this is the cathedral here, and then there's a lot of clay pieces that have been made. Very nice. I'm now in the third and final building. I'm not quite sure what this one's got, but it did explain the structure of the building and how it's designed with the Spanish influence. Hence the big courtyards in the shape of a square with the beautiful garden in the middle. And I do love that design, and it's also got the Arabic or Moroccan tiling, which is just beautiful. And if it's looked after, like in the hotel where I'm staying, and I must do some video outside there, it's just beautiful. So it seems that this third building is actually a lot of religious art, which I don't find particularly interesting, but what I do like is the big doors with that wooden beam across the top. That's pretty cool. Fantastic doorway, right? Oh, you can just imagine this is a house. Wow. Dining room, methinks. Royalty, probably. So there's clearly some significance here. I'd say pulling down the Spaniards. So if you're visiting Leon, that is definitely a must with the art galleries, definitely worth it. And then I had a wander around the city, lots and lots of beautiful buildings, and the cathedral, which I'll share here. To the Museum of Revolution now. Apparently it's all in Spanish, but you can go up on the roof, so that could be good. This behind me here, this whole street's a pedestrian street, and it's a memorial to people who died during the revolution or before. The whole time span is quite vague.
He was around 38 years of age. There were his parents, Margarita Calderon and Gregorio Sandino.
That's the current president from 2006 till now, 2026. Oh, seriously. That tour was information overload. So another patron arrived. So I've actually wandered off and I'm going to go up to the roof. Hopefully I'm going the right way. Yep, went the right way. Yay. Out in the fresh air. It was so hot in there, and that guy just had an absolute monologue. English was good, but just way too much information. Anyways, here's the view that I really came for. It's pretty cool. It's not actually open yet, but the security's just let me in to have a look. Oh, beautiful building. And there's little hidden gems, you just got to keep walking around. The ceiling. Beautiful. So one thing I learned about Leon was on the corner of the buildings they have this area here, so a pillar with two doors, and it was because there was no air conditioning when these buildings were built. So the residents would sit out on their step on the corner and watch the world go by. And this is unique to Leon. So as mentioned earlier, I stayed in a lovely hotel here in Leon, and this is just some photos. This is where I'd sit of an evening and have my dinner, and they did have a little pet turtle. It was then time to leave Leon and head off to Granada. Now Granada's about half the size population-wide of Leon, and quite a different city. Neither of those are actually the capital, although they'd like to have been. Well, it's been another hour and a half on the bus since leaving Leon, and we've stopped for an outlook. This is looking down on Managua, the capital of Nicaragua.
Christmas Eve of 1972, and that's why the reason there's not big buildings in Managua. 1.5 million. Yes, the new building.
It's a bit hazy. Well, folks, I'm on another orientation walk, which means I'm in a new city. So we just arrived in Granada, still in Nicaragua, this afternoon. And so I'm going to wander around. We're in a really nice hotel. I had a beautiful, refreshing swim, and I'll show you my room and my pool later on. So Granada is a beautiful, clean city, quite a contrast really to Leon, much less hectic. We had dinner together in a tavern. That was a lot of fun, especially as they had bingo and some of the group participated in that. I think we all had pizzas, they were delicious. And then I wandered around a bit more on my own. Well, good morning. It's so nice getting up early in the morning in these very hot, steamy places because it's actually not cool, but not stinking hot. And you'll have to excuse me looking down all the time because, like many places, the footpaths here are just shocking and I've got to watch out for holes. So I'm going to walk down to the lake and I'll put the name of the lake up here. And it's a good time to check it out before things get too busy. So no swimming in this lake. There used to be a lot of sharks in here. There's now discussion whether there actually is sharks or not. But apart from the sharks, there's no way I'd be swimming in that filth. Yeah, the horses here are really skinny. Apparently Nicaragua has horses for racing, but they're very small horses and yeah, often skinny like this one. So parts of this area were really lovely and you could think that it was all beautiful and clean if I hadn't been down the other end. I had a really nice walk around. After walking down to the lake, I walked back up and took a different route back to my hotel before getting breakfast and continuing more exploring. So this morning with the group we've come into one of the charities that Intrepid support, and I think I've mentioned how Intrepid there is a sustainable tourism group, but also they support local charities, and I'll find out more about this one when I sit down and join the others. And we're going to have breakfast here. I missed it.
Good option. This one or this. For ladies,
Okay.
this. Ladies.
Oh, ladies.
Yes.
So,
Chicas,
look at
mujeres.
They had a sign language when you do that.
How did you think it's this?
La casualidad quiso que la primera persona que conocí fue un muchacho con discapacidad auditiva.
For any reason, the first person that he met was a person with a deaf person.
Quise apoyarle, le compré unos audífonos y contraté a una profesora para que le diera clase.
He tried to support him. He bought a sound equipment and he contracted a teacher to try to help him.
It is so good to be able to support charities like this, and it's one of the reasons why I continue to travel with Intrepid. So we're having great fun spelling out our names and then them interpreting us. And then they're also saying what features they used when we ordered, because rather than saying our names. So Freddie suggested that I come and have a look at the cemetery, and unlike Guatemala, the families buy a whole plot it's theirs for life. Well, no, not for life, forever. And what they do is because land is still a little scarce, so they put the coffins on top and top and top and top. But then after it's been quite a while, they'll actually get the bones out of the coffin and they go somewhere else, something to do with the church. He didn't explain it fully. But yeah, I can see here, there's lots of really large family plots. And of course, right down the end is this very impressive mausoleum. I remember seeing this sort of structure in Spain when I was there a couple of years ago, but also this is the structure that in Guatemala, after 25 years, if they didn't pay more money, the coffin got taken out and just buried up with the poor people. And as you'd expect when you're wandering around a cemetery, there's cattle grazing. These are like those small Brahmin again. Oh, it's beautiful and cool in the shade. Such a sticky day again. So it really is a very neat, tidy cemetery. I mean, look at that, clean as. And there's lots of groundsmen here cleaning up, which is really good to see. It's a little hit and miss as I walk around Granada City. Some areas are quite clean and some are, just leave a lot to be desired, unfortunately. So here's some family plots here, and they're all buried above the ground, not below. There's not a huge span of dates there, 2019 through to 2005. But what they do is they just keep adding on, and they just go a bit higher and a bit higher. Oh, and here's one that actually does go below the ground. So this is the descendants of Salvador Cardinal. And this is quite a structure. I've just come into the fort. I think it's very old. I'll just confirm actually how old it is and put it up there. But free entry, just had to sign in. They did keep tabs on you where you are here, which I don't have a problem with. It keeps me safe, right? I think this says heroes and martyrs. A lot of them died in 1979, so clearly something was going on then. And yeah, I must read, when I get back to Australia, I'm going to look for books about what happened in these Central American countries, because there's so much that I just don't know. And I think, I should know. It was during my lifetime, right? Yeah, there's some interesting photos here. And this was the same war or revolution that Freddie was talking about the other day. And I've taken a photo of how the US was fined a large amount of money because of the war that occurred here in Nicaragua. And it was just, the youth uprising and not tolerating it anymore. And they won. And these are the presidents now. And this lady here, I took some photos of huge big metal structures called trees. And our guide said, yes, she's a bit eccentric. And he talked about the rings on her fingers. And yeah, they're certainly shown here in this photo. So I did lots more exploring on my own, wandering around, taking lots of photos. Here's just a few. And then I was so hot. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to go back to my hotel. And that's one of the areas. And I had a beautiful, cool swim and just relax for a little while before heading back out again. So I've just come into the Convent of San Francisco Museum. It was expensive compared with everywhere else I've been, but not really expensive. So it was $5 US, so that's about $7.58 Australian. So yeah, the scheme of things, not expensive, but just a little shock because everyone's been like a couple of dollars. So yeah, go and have a look around. So actually a good thing to do because I have been inside editing for the last couple of hours in the middle of the day, and yeah, I've just come back out and it's still quite warm out here. Well, I found a spot with a beautiful breeze. Actually up quite high because of the roofs, I can't actually see the lake. So I always find a few random things when I'm wandering around cities. And I've pretty much done all there is to do within walking distance of the hotel today. And so in 1885, the railroad came to Granada, and in 1886, the train station and a theatre was built. So I don't know any more than that, but here's the train station. That's quite nice. Let's go and have a closer look. But yeah, beautifully restored building, considering it's like 140 years old. They've done a great job, and there's a train out the back. So probably another thing I'm going to need to research and find out, why did the trains come? Because usually there's something that they needed to carry. That looks like an oil car. But yeah, and why did they stop? Interesting. No? Okay. Okay, so apparently I can't go in there. Okay, so they very firmly said no, I wasn't allowed past the gate, which was wide open. But there is more on this side, so I'll show you that. So yeah, they're in the railway station, and there's some more old cars here that have been beautifully restored and kept under cover, which is fantastic. It's hard to believe that was nearly a week that I spent in Nicaragua, right from coming across from El Salvador, across that waterway, landing on that really remote place and exploring both those two cities. It was wonderful, really enjoyed it. But I'm heading off to, I don't know how many, but another country in Central America. So do come back next time if you've enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up, and thanks for watching, and bye for now.